I am still overcoming a few tiredness related to my shot with CBS this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. I must say, I don't know how John McCain did it all these years. He routinely did morning shows from Arizona at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was a testament to his capacity and endearing spirit that he would do this more than once. I can assure you this is my last day of doing a morning show in Arizona. The family has asked that I first thank some people who have been very instrumental in helping to pull together with such short notice this week's funeral plans. First and really foremost, Governor Ducey and his wife Angela. They have been great friends of John and Cindy for many years, but to pull together all these state resources in such a short amount of time has been really a Herculean experience. Particularly on his staff, I'd like to point out two people, Kirk Adams, who's been a long-time McCainiac in the state of Arizona, who serves the governor here, and Don Wallace, who has taken care of virtually every detail that you'll see from Wednesday and Thursday. So thank you very much to the governor and their team. Shout out to Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who, along with Speaker Ryan, have pulled together and invited the family to participate in a wonderful event scheduled for Friday at the Rotunda of the Capitol. And we thank them very much, for passing a resolution and allowing John to lie in state at the Capitol. The combined efforts of the Trump administration, the White House, Secretary Mattis, and the Department of Defense, especially in the Military District of Washington, are very experienced in these issues related to the logistics of a funeral of this magnitude, and we really thank them for coming together very quickly and pulling together all the federal resources that we have. One in particular here in the state, Arizona Department of Public Safety Chief Colonel Frank Milstead. He's sort of the counterpart here in the state who is able to do this with us, and we appreciate his work. Arizona National Guard, who will supply the honor guards, who will take care of John for us while he's here. Particularly important to mention the people who have helped John during his fight against glioblastoma. The Mayo Clinic, many of you know and have gotten to know the doctors there over a long period of time with John's fight against melanoma and now glioblastoma, and the Celestial Care people who came in at the end and helped the family come together and be a part of the final conclusion of his battle against cancer. Particularly, I want to thank the people of Arizona. They have supported John through 35 years in a political career. He saw their outcome, their turnout, when he was brought from Sedona to Phoenix. Along the way, people saluting, carrying flags, praying. It was quite a scene. And people all across the country. It's been wonderful to watch the outpouring of support on television and through the newspapers. Thank you all for reporting so much of it over the last few days. I would like to also thank Don Brandt, who has been the chairman of McCain's campaigns the past year and is using a lot of his resources to help our team pull off what is really a wonderful tribute to John over the next couple of days here in Arizona. And finally, thanks to my friends, the members of Hotel California, all those alumni who checked in some 25 years ago, some longer, and continue to not be able to leave. And they never will be, so thank you. What I'd like to do now is go through a little bit of the schedule. You have the dates and times of the events, but I thought I'd give you a little color of what will happen during those events. And let me just recharge. Paul Ryan. The first event will be here at the state capitol, the old capitol, and it'll be a kind of formal political event. It will be, I think, the main significance of it is, if you needed to be told this, it will be on John's 82nd birthday. Only John McCain could rig a big birthday celebration for himself like this. It will be invocation by Father Edward Reese, who has been associated with the family through the school that the children have been to. Former Senator John Kyle will make remarks. The governor will preside over the activities and make remarks. John's old friend, Jim Colby, will present a wreath, and Jeff Flake will give a benediction. The family, led by Cindy McCain, will be there for this ceremony, and then shortly after this ceremony, once the family have taken an opportunity to give their blessings to John, the public will be allowed in. And I have reassurances that as long as there are people in line to file through to see John, the Capitol will remain open. So I think it's important for people to know that even though it's on a clock, I think they've announced 8 o'clock, they'll leave the Capitol open as long as there are people standing in line. Great thank you to the governor and his team for allowing us to do that. I think that the next event will be the next day. There will be a motorcade for coverage from the Capitol that morning to the North Phoenix Baptist Church. It's not a long stretch of road, but we anticipate that there'll be people lining the streets, and it will be an opportunity for folks who weren't able to go through the Capitol but will also not be in the church to be able to say hi to John as he comes by. The church service will begin approximately 10 o'clock. And for those of you who don't know, the North Phoenix Baptist Church is a very large facility. There'll be lots of people there. And so it'll be presided over by the senior pastor. There'll be members of the Brophy School ensemble will play. That's the school that most of the McCain children attended. John and Cindy were very involved in their community. Bridget McCain will do a reading. Grant Woods, the former Attorney General and friend of John McCain's and a superstar in the media, especially in the last couple of days, will do a tribute along with Tommy Espinoza, an old friend of John's. There will be there'll be a song that will be done by Jong-un Little Sunday. Paralleled by anybody we know. One person who has always been very close to John McCain, but has shared a lot of his time and I think knowledge throughout the period of time John has been battling glioblastoma as Vice President Joe Biden, and he will give a tribute to John at the event. He's basically being treated as a member of the family, which of course the family believes he is, for better or worse for his political career in the future. Andy McCain, John's son from his previous marriage, will do a reading, more entertainment from the Brophy student ensemble, and Father Reese. There will be a bagpiper present. John loves bagpipe music, and so there'll be some color around that, and then a benediction and dismissal by the senior pastor at the church. That will end the church services here in Arizona. Following the services, the entourage will all go en route to Washington, D.C. to Sky Harbor Airport. There will be a a small event departing Arizona for the last time. It will be a transfer of remains with a ceremony into the presidential airlift that have been supplied by the Military District of Washington. The send-off will be witnessed by active duty Arizona Air National Guard members and their family. So that'll be the last event in Arizona. From there, the senator will fly along with his family to Washington, and we'll begin 3 days of celebration in Washington, D.C. The first being on Friday morning at the nation's capital. As you know, this is a very formal proceedings, really set by protocol there. It will highlight the presentations of the chaplain of the House of Representatives, the Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, the administration designee Vice President Mike Pence, and Senators McConnell and Schumer will do a presentation of a Senate wreath, and Speaker Ryan will make a presentation of the House wreath, and Vice President Pence will make a presentation of the administration's wreath. And at the end, there'll be a benediction by the chaplain of the United States Senate. So that will be a short program. And then at that point in time, again, similar to the Arizona State Capitol event, members of the public will be encouraged to view John, and we hope everybody takes advantage of that beautiful opportunity. Again, we thank the congressional leadership for affording John the opportunity to be laying in state. On Saturday, September 1st, the family will gather at the Capitol in the morning and escort John along Pennsylvania Avenue to the Vietnam War Memorial, where Cindy and the family will make a quick stop and lay a wreath at the Vietnam War Memorial. That will be en route to the National Cathedral, where at approximately 10 o'clock we will hold another memorial service, really more focused on his national and global leadership at the National Cathedral. There, we will have the National Cathedral team begin the process. The Bishop of Washington and the Dean of the Cathedral, Dean Hollerith, will kick it off with a welcome and an anthem. There will be singing the Navy hymn, and the first tribute will be by Senator McCain's daughter, Meghan McCain. Jimmy McCain, his son, will read a poem, and then we will have a succession of tributes by Senator Joe Lieberman, Dr. Henry Kissinger, President George W. Bush, and President Barack Obama. After that, the Cathedral Choir and the Navy Glee Club will join in the Battle Hymn of the Republic. There will be some formal church ceremonies at that point, collection for the burial, and the prayer of those who give grief. And then there'll be some readings, first by former Senator Kelly Ayotte, and then one by Senator McCain's daughter by his previous marriage, Sidney McCain. There'll be some hymns and a reading by Senator Lindsey Graham. Father Reese will do a homily, and there will be a particular musical interlude requested specifically by Senator McCain to sing Danny Boy, and that will be done by the opera star Renee Fleming. So there'll be a Lord's Prayer and other celebrations. The Bishop of Washington will give the concluding prayer. There'll be an anthem, the America the Beautiful by the Cathedral Choir and the Navy Glee Club, and then the commendation, dismissal, and postlude. So that will end the ceremony at the National Cathedral. On Sunday, September 2nd, the family will gather and travel with John McCain to his final resting place at Annapolis. This will be a closed press event. I think media will only be able to go as far as the gate. The family will gather at the chapel, and there will be really mostly family and friends and the class of '58. Any of you who have been on the campaign trail with John McCain have probably met every member of the class of '58. They're really a keen group of guys, and they will be in attendance along with some of the midshipmen who attend the Naval Academy. After that ceremony at the chapel, Senator McCain, as you know from the advisories, will be laid to rest on Hospital Hill next to his close and good friend, Admiral Chuck Larson. So that will be the week's activities. I highly encourage everybody to continue to get on and monitor the website that was built for these ceremonies, johnmccain.com. It has a lot of information that's being updated by the hour, and is a good place, certainly for the media, to get more details as they become available in real time. As you know, there's a credentialing portal there to ensure that your participation can be accommodated at each of these events that we have media coverage. I'd like to now move off of the schedule. I will remain available for some questions after we end. But I've been asked to do one final thing, and that is, as John McCain faced his mortality, he asked that a letter that he has done be read. This will be somewhat difficult, so if you'll bear with me, these are John's final words, and the family's asked that we present these to you today. There will be copies put out by the Senate office shortly after this event. These are John's words. My fellow Americans, whom I have gratefully served for 60 years, and especially my fellow Arizonians, thank you for the privilege of serving you and for the rewarding life that service in uniform and in public office has allowed me to lead. I've tried to serve our country honorably. I've made mistakes, but I hope my love for America will be weighed favorably against them. I've often observed that I am the luckiest person on earth. I feel that way even now as I prepare for the end of my life. I've loved my life, all of it. I've had experiences, adventures, friendships, enough for 10 satisfying lives, and I am so thankful. Like most people, I have regrets, but I would not trade a day of my life, in good or bad times, for the best day of anybody else's. I owe the satisfaction to the love of my family. One man has never had a more loving wife or children he was prouder of than I am of mine. And I owe it to America to be connected to America's causes, liberty, equal justice, respect for the dignity of all people, brings happiness more sublime than life's fleeting pleasures. Our identities and sense of worth are not circumscribed, but are enlarged by serving good causes bigger than ourselves. Fellow Americans, that association has meant more to me than any other. I lived and died a proud American. We are citizens of the world's greatest republic, a nation of ideals, not blood and soil. We are blessed and are a blessing to humanity when we uphold and advance those ideals at home and in the world. We have helped liberate more people from tyranny and poverty than ever before in history, and we have acquired great wealth and power in the progress. We weaken our greatness when we confuse our patriotism with tribal rivalries that have sown resentment and hatred and violence in all the corners of the globe. We weaken it when we hide behind walls rather than tear them down, when we doubt the power of our ideals rather than trust them to be the great force for change they have always been. We are 325 million opinionated, vociferous individuals. We argue and compete and sometimes even vilify each other in our raucous public debates. But we have always had so much more in common with each other than in disagreement. If only we remember that and give each other the benefit of the presumption that we all love our country, we will get through these challenging times. We will come through them stronger than before. We always do. 10 years ago, I had the privilege to concede defeat in the election for president. I want to end my farewell to you with heartfelt faith in Americans that I felt so powerfully that evening. I feel it powerfully still. Do not despair of our present difficulties. We believe always in the promise and greatness of America, because nothing is inevitable here. Americans never quit. We never surrender. We never hide from history. We make history. Farewell, fellow Americans. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much for your patience with me today. And with that, I'll be happy to open it up to any questions. And Kelly, since you made me cry at least twice during this reading, I'll call on you first.
In what ways should the people of Arizona and the people of the nation carry on John McCain's message, and in what tangible ways should he be remembered?
Well, I think one, and again, kudos to the governor, Doug Ducey. He has led this state as governor in what John McCain would believe were the highest ideals that he believed in public service. And so he leaves behind a great leader for the state who has emulated his own legacy for life. I think that it's important for people to spend time, especially during this week, to reflect on the many different things John McCain did as a senator, as a leader around the world, as a resident and father here in Arizona. He touched so many lives. He knew so many people, but he was always an inspiration to those people. We couldn't walk through an airport, without John McCain getting mobbed by people who wanted to hug him. It wasn't that they just wanted a photo, which of course they did, but they wanted to give him their emotions. It happened all the time, and I think that they can reflect on that as an individual who has enormous power, who made a huge impact, but remained connected to the people both here in Arizona but around the world. So I think that's a good way to maybe see through all the filter of all the information that you get. Over here. Yep.
I want to ask two clarifying questions, then a question that...
Sure.
First of all, are the church events both called funerals, or are they... I'm a bit unclear on that. Is
the church events are memorials.
Okay.
Yeah.
So neither is going to be, should be called a funeral.
Correct.
Okay. Is one of these events going to be a funeral, the private events?
The funeral itself will be at the Naval Academy.
Okay, fine. Second clarifying question. The body, Senator McCain's body right now at the funeral home, it will be brought here without any fanfare or anything like that?
Well, he'll be escorted by the Arizona Guard detachment that will basically take care of him while he's here.
That's not going to be an event?
It's not an event in its own.
Okay, fine.
Correct.
The question I wanted to ask you is sort of the tough question about President Trump. We've heard a lot of things today about a flag. This flag's made at half staff, full staff, tweets that don't mention Senator McCain, although the First Lady seemed to. The McCain family, their reaction to all this right now?
Yeah, I would say that the entire focus of the McCain family is on John McCain. There really is no room in the McCain family today to focus on anything but him. There's lots to celebrate, there's lots to mourn, and I think any discussion of what any one individual has done or said, if you look at the gravity of all the reactions from around the world leaders, our allies, it's been immense, and I think they choose to focus on that.
And it would be fair to say they're aware of all the things I mentioned too. They're not.
I'm not going to characterize the amount of news that they get every day, but they're focused on things that don't include that.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about why Senator McCain seemed to draw people into what you described as Hotel California? You're obviously one of them. What was it about him that...
I think I'm the caretaker.
You're the concierge.
Concierge. I'm not very good at that.
What was it about him that drew people into this lifelong affiliation with him?
Well, he was different. I think that there's been a lot of reporting about what will the Senate be like without John McCain. What will politics be like without John McCain? What will Arizona be like without John? You can put a lot of different categories to this, but he was truly authentic, right? I mean, he strove every day to tell